Now, I will request Dr. Susmita Rai to present her presentation. Before her presentation, I request Anuswa Rai Bosunia to introduce Dr. Susmita Rai.
Namaskar. Now it is my turn to introduce Dr. Susmita Roy. Susmita is pretty much known to us for her participation in earlier RAWA programs. She stood second in RAWA Global Cultural Competition in Dance in 2004. She acted as a judge in dance competitions Imatpur and Shantiniketan in 2019. She also gave a solo dance performance in the International Dance Program on Prabhat Sangeet, which was broadcast live from Taiwan on 18/9/2021. Susmita has a brilliant career as a student. She obtained first division in both Madhyamik and HS examinations. Although she had physics, chemistry, mathematics and statistics at the HS stage, she joined Sangeet Bhavan because of her overriding interest in dance. There she stood first in the first class in both BMUS and MUS examinations. She did a 2-year MBA course also in the first class from the Maulana Abul Kalam Azad University of Technology. She also qualified in general category UGC National Eligibility Test in dance. She did her PhD from Sangeet Bhavan. Her topic of research was Tashir Das, Land of Cards, an analysis from the viewpoint of organizational behavior. Organizational behavior is the subject of management science. She has already published 5 papers in national and international journals. She visited Japan on an exchange programs for 3 weeks. There she conducted dance workshop and danced herself in various dance programs. She has performed in main roles in various Novindra Nitya Natyas in various places in India, including two Nitya Natyas in Shantiniketan telecast live by Doordarshan. She is also proficient in a few Indian classical dances. Namaskar.
Pranam to Sri Sri Anandamurthy ji and good afternoon to all. The topic of my lecture is the contribution of Rabindranath Tagore in promoting Indian classical dance with special reference to his dance drama Tasher Desh. We all know that the Indian classical dances originated from Natya Shastra written by Bharat Muni about 2000 years ago. But they had undergone extensive changes over the years and then took the present forms in 1858. So, Rabindranath's contribution to the promotion of classical dances has to be understood in the sense that their use has made it possible for Rabindranath to develop a genre of dance known as Rabindra Nritya. We now pay our warm respect to Rabindranath by giving a brief description of his life and works, and then we will come back to the discussion of classical dances. Rabindranath Tagore was born in Jodashakhar Thakurbari in Kolkata on May 7, 1861. He was the son of Mahorshi Devendranath Tagore, born in 1817 and died in 1905, and Sharoda Sundari Devi, born in 1826 and died in 1875. They had a total of 15 children, 9 male and 6 female, out of which Rabindranath was the 14th. Rabindranath is also known by 3 sobriquets: Gurudev, Kobi Guru and Vishwakobi. His family background. Rabindranath was a polymath having knowledge in wide-ranging subjects. He was a poet, short story writer, playwright, composer, philosopher, social reformer, educationist and painter at the same time. Some of his family members also contributed greatly to the field of art and culture. His eldest brother Dijendranath was a famous poet and philosopher. His second brother Satyendranath was the first ever ICS Indian civil servant. His fifth brother Jyotirindranath was a noted musician, and the fifth sister Sharno Kumari excelled as an erudite novelist. His family history. Tagores were Pirali Brahmins of Kolkata. They were called Thakurs by the locals. Tagore is the anglicized name of Thakur. The original surname of Thakurs were Kushari. The Kusharis hailed from a village named Kush in the district of Bardhaman in West Bengal. His early life, 1861 to 1878. Rabindranath was raised mostly by servants. His mother Sharoda Sundari died when he was 14 only. He did not like formal education in usual schools, but he could continue his studies at home in subjects like history, geography, Bengali, English, mathematics, Sanskrit, drawing, anatomy, etc. With the help of private tutors appointed by his father Devendranath under the overall tutelage of his third brother Hemendranath, who also arranged for his learning swimming, gymnastics, judo, wrestling, etc. Tagore's education in England and literary activities from 1878 to 1900. Rabindranath was sent in September 1878 to England by his father, who wanted him to be a barrister. For this purpose, he was first enrolled in a school in Brighton near London and then in the University College, London, to study law. He did not find formal legal education interesting and left the college. Coming out of the college, he opted for independent study of Shakespeare's plays. His father called him back to India. While in the University College, he enjoyed very much the literature class of Professor Henry Morley, born in 1822 and died in 1894, and which he remembered throughout his life with great respect. He came back to India in March 1880, being away from Kolkata for about 18 months. After returning to Kolkata, he started publishing poems, short stories, novels and dramas. He married in 1883 a 10-year-old girl, Mrinalini Devi, born in 1873 and died in 1902. At that time, marrying minor girls starting from age 8 was a common practice. His mother Sharoda Devi also got married at the age of 8 years. In November 1889, Rabindranath was made the manager of the family estate spreading over a large area of undivided northeast Bengal, comprising places like Shilaidaho, Patishar, Shahjadpur and Kaligram, which are now in Bangladesh, and he was also the manager of the family estates in Odisha. He enjoyed nature abundantly in the wide open fields and starry night sky of his estates. He came in close contact with the village people who were tenants of his estates. His close association with the social and economic problems of the villagers and intimate knowledge about their happiness and sorrows prompted him to write around 88 short stories collected in Golpoguccho with profound sympathies in the period 1890 to 1900. Tagore's Shantiniketan years 1901 to 1931. Patho Bhavan. In Shantiniketan, Rabindranath established Patho Bhavan, a school in the Tapovana style, in 1901 when he was 40 years old. He himself despised classroom teaching in Kolkata when he was young. Shantiniketan is situated in rural Bengal, about 150 km away from Kolkata den and bustle. He encouraged teaching in nature under the trees like Tapovana. He emphasized all-rounded education in which participation in sports was compulsory. Students also participated actively in Sahitya Sabha, a weekly seminar. Music and dance also are integral parts of the curriculum. Cultural activities like drama, songs and dances are organized in the evenings on a regular basis. National Anthem. Rabindranath was a prolific composer of about 2,250 songs called collectively as Rabindra Sangeet. Two of these songs, Jano Gano Mono and Amar Sonar Bangla, have become national anthems of two neighboring countries, India and Bangladesh respectively. Jano Gano Mono was first sung in 1911 at a Kolkata session of the Indian National Congress and then adopted in 1950 by the Constituent Assembly of India as its national anthem. Amar Shonar Bangla was composed in 1905 to oppose the partition of Bengal. This was adopted in 1971 as the national anthem of Bangladesh. Sri Lanka's national anthem was also inspired by his work. Vishwabharati University. On December 23, 1921, Vishwabharati was established with the explicit intention of making it a place where the world makes its home in a single nest. The activities of the university started as raised earnest. Kala Bhavan, Sangit Bhavan, Vidya Bhavan, Hindi Bhavan, China Bhavan were established. Sriniketan was established for rural reconstruction. Nobel Prize. Rabindranath was the first Asian to be awarded in 1930 Nobel Prize in Literature for his Gitanjali song offerings. Knighthood. He was awarded a knighthood by the King George V on his birthday in 1915. But he returned this honours after Jallianwala Bagh massacre in 1919. He then wrote in a letter to Lord Chelmsford, the then Viceroy of India, quote, "The disproportionate severity of the punishments inflicted upon the unfortunate people and the methods of carrying them out, we are convinced, are without parallel in the history of civilized governments. The time has come when badges of honor make our shame glaring in their incongruous context of humiliation, and I, for my part, wish to stand shorn of all distinctions by the side of my countrymen." Beyond 70 years of age from 1932 to 1941, his literary activity starting from his age 16 in 1877 continued undiminished till his demise in 1941 at the age of 80. He wrote Tashet Desh in 1933 at the age of 72. Paintings of Rabindranath Tagore. At the age 60 in 1921, when Vishwabharati was established, he took up drawing and painting. He successfully exhibited his paintings in Paris for the first time in 1930, and thereafter painting exhibitions were held throughout Europe. India's National Gallery of Modern Arts lists 102 Rabindranath's paintings. Vishwaporichaya. He wrote Vishwaporichaya, a primer for astronomy in 1937, giving latest knowledge up to 1937. Travels. Rabindranath had a great penchant for travelling. Between 1878 and 1932, in the span of 54 years, he visited 30 countries in 5 continents: Asia, Africa, North America, South America, and Europe, mainly for familiarization of his works. As promised in the beginning of this literature, we now discuss classical dances. 8 classical dances given below, developed over the years, took their present forms 165 years ago in 1858. For details, we refer you to my paper, The Dances of India, A Glimpse, which appeared in the Vishwabharati Quarterly 2017, volume 25, number 4, pages 135 to 142. Bharatanatyam from Tamil Nadu, Kathakali from Kerala, Mohiniyattam from Kerala, Kuchipudi, Andhra Pradesh, Odissi from Odisha, Kathak, Uttar Pradesh, Manipuri from Manipur, and Satriya from Assam. All these dance forms originated from Bharata's Natya Shastra. In this connection, it is worth noting a pertinent observation of Mandakranta Bose of the University of British Columbia, Canada. Venerated as a sacred art in ancient times and energetically cultivated till the beginning of 18th century, dance fell into a decline thereafter. While the ancient traditions of sacred and dramatic dance did not actually die out, they took refuge in temple precincts shut away from the common view. As far as the general public could see, it was performed by courtesans and street entertainers, and for that reason seen as an erotic art that was not only vulgar but solely meant for seduction. Especially under the puritanical eye of British officialdom, through the 18th and 19th centuries, dance came to be viewed as a debased form of entertainment associated in public mind with licentiousness. This trend was reversed first through efforts of Rabindranath Tagore in the 30s of the 20th century by motivating the girls of respected families to dance in public in Rabindra Nritya style in Shantiniketan and Kolkata. Inspired by Tagore, Rukmini Devi Arundel, born in 1904 and died in 1986, a Brahmin girl of 31 in Chennai, was the first woman to dance in public in the Bharatanatyam style in 1935, a time when reputed social leaders of Madras Presidency were condemning dancing as a vulgar profession and were trying to introduce a bill to abolish dancing from the temples. Ragini Devi, born in 1896 and died in 1982, an American lady, was the first woman to enter Kerala Kalamandalam, founded in 1930 by the great Malayalam poet Vallathol Narayana Menon, born in 1878 and died in 1958 as a student of Kathakali dance. She presented Kathakali dance with Guru Gopinath in Shantiniketan in the presence of Rabindranath in 1935. The institutions like Vishwabharati 1921 Shantiniketan, Kerala Kalamandalam 1930 and Kalakshetra 1935 in Chennai went a long way to popularize the Indian dance among the public. Rabindranath Tagore represented in his life and work the cultural renaissance of modern India. His rich liberalism drew its inspiration from India's ancient philosophy, and being a true traditionalist, he was always ready to accept the age and its challenges. While on a lecture tour of Assam in 1919, Tagore saw the Goshto Leela or Manipuri dance of the shepherd boys performed by a group of Machimpur village in Sylhet. So impressed was he that he would be happy to get some Manipuri dancer of Machimpur capable of teaching Pathabhavana boys. But nobody would like to leave Machimpur for Shantiniketan. However, with the royal grace of the Maharaja Birendra Kishore Manikko of Tripura, Rabindranath was able to get the dancer Buddhimantra Singho and the Mridango player in the first week of January 1920 to come to Shantiniketan and teach the boys Manipuri dance in his school. But even Tagore had to tread carefully. He could only introduce dancing as part of the physical education program for the boys. In 1926, Tagore ventured further. With the help of the Prince Brajendra Kishore of Tripura, he brought Manipuri dancers Navakumar and his brother Boikunthu Singho to Shantiniketan. This was a major breakthrough, for now the girls started their dance training. By this time, the climate of opinion had begun to change. And moreover, with Tagore's backing, the girls had little fear of social stigma. In the May of that same year, he presented his first dance drama in Calcutta with a cast composed wholly of girls. This drama, Noti Puja, is the story of a Noti or dancing girl who becomes a Buddhist nun. The king, however, forbids the veneration of Buddha and commands the Noti to dance again. Much against her will, the girl dresses herself in her most beautiful costume and dances at court. But as she dances, she thinks only of Buddha. As the dance progresses, she sheds her jewels one by one and finally throws off the costume as well. We see her not naked, but in the humble habit of a nun. As she kneels in silence to venerate Buddha, the king's soldiers close in and slay her for defying his orders. It may be noted that Miss Gauri Bose, daughter of Shilpacharya Nandulal Bose, played in the role of Noti. Tagore composed other dance dramas, of which Shama, Chandalika, Chitrangada are the best known. They are all based on ancient mythological tales and legends, and he continued to use Raga Bhava as the basic principle for the music. Classical dances generally follow the grammar of Natya Shastra. In Rabindra Nritya, the mood of the song is reflected in the dance. Tagore created a new genre of dancing using soft graceful gestures of Manipuri without accepting its costumes, and vigorous gestures of Kathakali rejecting its elaborate mudras and eye gestures to suit the rhythmic pattern of the Robindra Sangeet that was being acted out. The dance dramas where various Indian classical dance forms were played in different roles according to loudness and softness of the characters in that particular dance dramas as well. Those are as follows. The dance drama Shama, the role Shama dances in Manipuri style, whereas Bajroshen dances in Bharatnatyam and Kathakali style. Uttiyo dances in Kathak style and Kotal in Kathakali style. In Chandalika dance drama, Prakriti dances in Manipuri style and Maya, mother of Prakriti, dances in Kathakali style. Chitrangada dance drama, Kurupa Chitrangada Prathama dances in Manipuri style, and Shurupa Chitrangada Ditiya dances with Arjun singing Keteche Akela Birahero Bela in Mohiniyattam style. Various other forms of dance from Europe, ballet and modern dance, Japan, No and Kabuki, Java and Bali Wayang, Sri Lanka Kandyan, and the Indian folk dances like Garba, Baul, Jari, Dhali and Rai Beshe found place in Robindra Nritya wherever considered suitable. It should be noted, however, that the Tagore dance style was never encoded like Swarolipi of Robindra Sangeet. The dancer is not required to follow any choreographic details and is free to choose any suitable gestures and eye movements for the description of the narrative capturing the mood and the rhythmic pattern of the songs of the play. We now discuss the dance drama Tasher Desh, which uses Robindra Nritya. Tasher Desh. Robindranath wrote a weird story, Ekta Ashare Golpo, in mid-June-July 1892, just after he attained the age of 31 years. This was first published in Sadhana in Ashad 1892 and later included in Golpo Gucho, a collection of short stories. In 1933, Tagore converted this quaint story into a wonderful music drama with brilliant prose dialogues, Tasher Desh. Tasher Desh involves two countries, a fantasy land of playing cards and a conventional land inhabited amongst others by a banished queen, a prince and his confidante, Patrolekha, and a merchant son. In the conventional royal palace, the prince is tired of a suffocating atmosphere around him. He wants complete emancipation from these stuffy conditions. He dislikes the routine royal life and yearns for adventure and challenge of the unknown. Accompanied by the merchant son, he sets sail for the unknown treasure, but misfortune strikes. They are shipwrecked and thrown into a strange land of playing cards where there are only strict rules and regulations, illogical rituals and customs together with age-old superstitions. These cards do not know how to laugh or how to cry. In other words, this land is bereft of undulation of joy and sorrow. The prince becomes sympathetic to the sorry plight of the playing cards. Like a true leader, he vows to gradually liberate them from their moribund situations. The wild, unrestrained nature of the prince demolishes the rigid robot-like orthodox society and helps convert it into a vibrant society full of life and vigor. Thus, the dedication of the second edition of Tasher Desh to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, a great Indian revolutionary, an ardent freedom fighter, and the President of the Indian National Congress in 1939, could not be more apt. In my research work for the PhD, I have considered the two kingdoms, one the usual kingdom and the other the card kingdom. As two large organizations, the behavior of whose members are analyzed in terms of the concepts of the organizational behavior OB of management science. For example, the adventurous nature of the prince fits very well with a powerful entrepreneur or an ambitious leader who can take great risks in dangerous situations and unusual settings to successfully run an enterprise. In Tasher Desh, this entrepreneur, the prince, brings in fruitful gradual changes in the moribund society, ushering in jubilant life and youthful vigor for every member in a peaceful manner without resorting to any armed intervention. Rabindranath has tried to awaken us from the deep slumber in our decrepit society with the help of pungent satire by writing Tasher Desh after Achalayatan. We do behave like the cardlanders in their pursuit of dead habits, rigid rules, superstitious beliefs and ideas. Like them, we stick to rules for movement. We do not look afar, we do not turn our head and follow the straight road under the strict directions of the guru of our society. In Tasher Desh, the prince has motivated the cardlanders to rise in revolt against all obscurantism. Rabindranath thinks that Subhash Chandra Bose, to whom Tasher Desh is dedicated, is the right person to lead us to light from the awful darkness of our moribund society. To conclude, therefore, we emphasize again that Indian classical dances, as practiced at present, follow the strict rules. It took the genius of Rabindranath to develop a new genre of dance known as Rabindra Nritya, using different forms of classical dances, rejecting the costumes and mudras wherever necessary. The only requirement of Rabindra Nritya is that it must conform to the mood of the song. Such a style of dance brings in immense pleasure to one and all of the audience. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you. Many thanks to Doctor for her valuable speech presentation. আমরা খুব সমৃদ্ধ হলাম। তো সময় খুব সংক্ষিপ্ত। আপনি আপনার বক্তব্যে একটা ঋণ স্বীকারের কথা বলেছেন যে মুনি ভরত মুনির কাছে ভারতীয় নৃত্য ইনডেটেড। এই মহর্ষি ভরতকে নিয়ে আমরা আমাদের সীমিত আলোচনায় অধ্যয়নে একটা তথ্য আমরা পেয়েছি, যে তথ্যটা দিচ্ছেন প্রভাত রঞ্জন সরকার, গীতিকার সুরকার প্রভাত রঞ্জন সরকার তার নবশিবায় শান্তায় এ পরিষ্কারভাবে বলছেন যে মহর্ষি ভরত সদাশিবের ডাইরেক্ট ছাত্র। সদাশিব নটরাজ সদাশিব যখন সঙ্গীতের প্রবর্তন করলেন, তো এই সঙ্গীতকে সারা বিশ্বের মানুষের কাছে ছড়ানোর জন্য, প্রসারণের জন্য মহর্ষি ভরতকে উপযুক্ত যোগ্য ছাত্র পেয়েছিলেন। তো মহর্ষি ভরত যদি সদাশিবের সান্নিধ্যধন্য ছাত্র শিষ্য ভক্ত হয়ে থাকে, প্রভাত রঞ্জন সরকার বলছেন সদাশিবের আবির্ভাব, নটরাজের আত্মপ্রকাশ ঘটেছিল ৭,০০০ বছর আগে গাঙ্গেয় সভ্যতার। এই গাঙ্গেয় সভ্যতার এটা হরিদ্বার, এই হরিদ্বারের উপরে রয়েছে কুমায়ুন গাড়োয়াল পর্বতমালা, যেখান থেকে মন্দাকিনী এবং অলকানন্দা দুটো সিভিলাইজেশন হরিদ্বারে এসে মার্চ করেছিল, ব্লেন্ডেড সিভিলাইজেশন হয়েছিল। এইটাই হচ্ছে নটরাজ সদাশিবের আবির্ভাবের ক্ষেত্র, কর্মক্ষেত্র বা সাধনার ক্ষেত্র, যেটা ঘটেছিল ৭,০০০ বছর আগে, 7000 years ago। তো সেখানে মহর্ষি ভরত তার যদি শিষ্য হয়ে থাকে ডাইরেক্ট, তাহলে তিনি ৭,০০০ বছর আগেকার মানুষ, ঐতিহাসিক একজন ব্যক্তি। তো আপনার তথ্যে, এবং ওই তথ্যটা আমি সঙ্গীত ভবনের অনেক সঙ্গীতের বইতে পেয়েছি, যে তারাও ওই ২,০০০-২,৫০০ বছর আগে মহর্ষি ভরত এসেছিলেন। এই জায়গাটায় বিশাল একটা ঝগড়া সৃষ্টি হচ্ছে। প্রভাত রঞ্জন সরকারের তথ্যের ভিত্তিতে তিনি বলছেন ৭,০০০ বছর আগে সারা ভারতবর্ষের যারা সঙ্গীত নিয়ে গবেষণা বিদগ্ধ পণ্ডিত তারা বলছেন 2-2,500 বছর আগেকার ঘটনা। তো যে তাহলে আমার অবজারভেশনে যেটা এসেছে যে নটরাজ, সদাশিব, আশিসধন্য, স্নেহধন্য বা সান্নিধ্যন্য ঋষি ভরত ও প্রাচীনতম নাট্যশাস্ত্র প্রণেতা ঋষি ভরত কি একই ব্যক্তি? সে সম্পর্কে যথেষ্ট বিতর্কের অবকাশ রয়েছে, কেননা এদের ইতিহাসেরা যে সময়কাল নির্দেশ করছেন সেটা আলাদা। তাহলে এরা দুজন স্বতন্ত্র মানুষ। 7,000 বছর আগে এক যে ঋষি ভরত ছিলেন, পরবর্তীকালে আরেক ঋষি ভরত এসেছিলেন। এটা নিয়ে আমরা আগামী দিনে আপনাকে ডাকবো, যারা বিশেষজ্ঞ তাদেরকে নিয়ে আমরা বসবো। এই জায়গাগুলো আমরা খুঁজছি যে আপনার এটা যদি 7,000 বছর আগেকার হয়, সদাশিবের অবদান এবং শ্রীকৃষ্ণের গীতা এখনও পর্যন্ত লক্ষ গীতা পাঠ হলো কলকাতায়। যে গীতা একটি ভারতের শাস্ত্র, ধর্মগ্রন্থ, একটি যার মধ্যে আদর্শ রয়েছে, ভারতীয় আধ্যাত্মিকতার কথা বলে, জীবন আদর্শনের কথা বলে। তো গীতা যে গান, গীতা যে সঙ্গীত, এই কথাটা কেউ বলছে না। আমাদের সুমন ভট্টাচার্য তিনি ইদানিং বলছেন যে গীতা গান। তো এই গীতা যে গান, এটাকে আবিষ্কার করার জন্য এই তথ্য আমরা খুঁজছি যে গীতা যে রচয়িতা শ্রীকৃষ্ণ যখন বাঁশি বাজিয়েছেন, বংশীধ্বনির দ্বারা আকৃষ্ট করেছেন, তিনি সঙ্গীতবিদ। সঙ্গীত শাস্ত্র না জানা থাকলে সেভাবে তিনি বাঁশি বাজাতে পারতেন না। তো এই গীতিকার সুরকার শ্রীকৃষ্ণের পরিচয় আমরা খুঁজে বেড়াচ্ছি। তা গীতাঞ্জলিও আমরা জানি শান্তিনিকেতনে গীতাঞ্জলি কাব্য হিসাবে এর আগে উঠে এলো, যে কাব্য হিসাবে গীতাঞ্জলি এশিয়ার, আপনার বক্তব্যেও উঠে এলো যে প্রথম এশিয়ান কবি গীতাঞ্জলি কাব্য রচনা করে নোবেল পেয়েছেন। তো হ্যাঁ, গীতাঞ্জলি জন্যই পেয়েছেন। গীতাঞ্জলি কাব্য নয়, গীতাঞ্জলি সঙ্গীত কাব্য, গীতা সঙ্গীত কাব্য। এ দুটোর যে সাদৃশ্য বা গীতাঞ্জলির শেকড় গীতার মধ্যে আছে কিনা, এই তথ্যগুলো আমরা খুঁজছি। এই ব্যাপারে যদি আমাদেরকে আলোকপাত করতে পারেন আমরা খুবই ধন্য হব। তো এই প্রত্যাশা রেখে আপনাকে অশেষ ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন করছি। তো আগামী দিনে আমরা আরও আপনার বক্তব্যে সমৃদ্ধ হব। আপনাকে যথেষ্ট ধন্যবাদ। নমস্কার। এখন আমাদের বিশেষ বক্তা যিনি বাংলাদেশ থেকে এসেছেন আমাদের এই আন্তর্জাতিক সেমিনারে যোগদান করার জন্য, তিনি হচ্ছেন কর্ণতনয়া রায়, মিস কর্ণতনয়া রায়। তিনি বিশ্বভারতীর সঙ্গীত ভবনের স্টুডেন্ট, মাস্টার ডিগ্রিতে পাঠরতা। তার সাবজেক্ট নৃত্য, ড্যান্স। তো আমরা আমাদের প্রভাতরঞ্জন সরকার সংস্কৃতি চর্চা ও গবেষণা কেন্দ্রের একটা অন্যতম কর্মসূচি এর আগেও বলা হয়েছে যে যারা পায়োনিয়ার্স অফ ইন্ডিয়ান ক্লাসিক্যাল মিউজিক, তাদের প্রতি গুরুদেব শ্রী শ্রী আনন্দমূর্তিজির জন্ম শতবার্ষিকী উপলক্ষে আমরা শ্রদ্ধাঞ্জলি জ্ঞাপন করছি। তো এই শ্রদ্ধাঞ্জলি জ্ঞাপনের একটি বিষয়। আমরা জানি যে ভারতনাট্যমের একজন পায়োনিয়ার ছিলেন, তা রুক্মিণী দেবী আরুন্ডেলের যে ভূমিকা ভারতনাট্যম নৃত্যের প্রচারে সেই বিষয়ে আলোকপাত করার জন্য আমরা মিস কর্ণ তনয়া রায়কে অনুরোধ করছি আসন গ্রহণ করার জন্য। নমস্কার। কর্ণ তনয়া রায়, আসন গ্রহণ করুন। আমাদের আজকের যে চেয়ারপারসন সেমিনারের শ্রীযুক্ত সাক্ষী গোপাল দেব মহাশয়কে অনুরোধ করছি আমাদের পরবর্তী স্পিকার বক্তা কর্ণ তনয়াকে উত্তরীয় দিয়ে বরণ করে নেওয়ার জন্য। বাংলাদেশ থেকে আগত কর্ণ তনয়া রায়কে উত্তরীয় দিয়ে বরণ করে নিচ্ছেন আমাদের এই আন্তর্জাতিক সেমিনারের চেয়ারপারসন শ্রীযুক্ত সাক্ষী গোপাল দেব। সাধু সাধু সাধু। কর্ণ তনয়ার বিষয়বস্তু হচ্ছে হিস্টোরিক্যাল রোল অফ রুক্মিণী দেবী ফর দ্য রিভাইভাল অফ ভারতনাট্যম। নমস্কার।
উপস্থিত সকলকে আমার নমস্কার। নৃত্য একটা সময়ে শুধু আনন্দ ভাব প্রকাশেরই মাধ্যম ছিল। কালের বিবর্তনে আজ নৃত্য শুধু একটা মাধ্যমই নয়, একটি কলা, একটি শিল্প, যা চর্চার বিষয় হয়ে দাঁড়িয়েছে। বিশ্ব নৃত্যকলার ইতিহাসে ভারতীয় শাস্ত্রীয় নৃত্যই সবচেয়ে বেশি মাত্রায় সাহিত্যের সঙ্গে নিজের সম্পর্ক স্থাপন করেছে। সাহিত্যের সঙ্গে শিল্পের এই মিলন একদিকে বিশ্ব শাস্ত্রীয় নৃত্যকলার জগতে ভারতীয় শাস্ত্রীয় নৃত্যকে যেমন স্বতন্ত্র আসনে প্রতিষ্ঠিত করেছে, তেমনি এই দুই স্বতন্ত্র বিষয়ের সংশ্লেষণও ঘটেছে ভারতীয় শাস্ত্রীয় নৃত্যকলায়। প্রতিটি শিল্পই তার প্রস্তরীভূত অতীত পেছনে ফেলে রেখে ক্রমোন্নত হয়, সৃষ্টি হয়, উদ্ভাবিত হয়, নিজেকে পরিবেশের সঙ্গে খাপ খাইয়ে নিয়ে আরও উন্নত হয়। অতীতে যারা শাস্ত্রীয় নৃত্য পরিবেশন করত তারা সাদির, দেবদাসী, মাহারি, কচুবালি বা নচগার্ল ইত্যাদি নামে উচ্চবর্ণের মানুষদের দ্বারা অভিহিত হতো। ভারতের ইতিহাসে এক ঘৃণ্য অধ্যায়। নৃত্যকলাকে এইসব পদদলিত মানুষের স্তর থেকে উদ্ধার করার বিভিন্ন নিহিতার্থ আছে। কারণ তামিলনাড়ু এবং ভারতবর্ষের অন্যান্য প্রদেশ থেকে এইসব নতুন নতুন নৃত্যশিল্পীরা নতুন উৎসাহে নিরুপায় এবং শোষিত দেবদাসীদের, যারা অসহায়ভাবে এই পথে নিমজ্জিত জীবনযাপন করত, সেখান থেকে এই শিল্পের বিশুদ্ধকরণের মাধ্যমে এক নতুন যুগের খোঁজে যাত্রা শুরু করে। 1935 সালের ডিসেম্বর মাসে রুক্মিণী দেবী আরুন্ডেলের মঞ্চে দেবদাসী নৃত্য পরিবেশন উচ্চবর্ণের মাদ্রাজি সমাজে কাঁপন ধরিয়ে দিয়েছিল। তিনি প্রথম তামিল ব্রাহ্মণ কন্যা যিনি জনসমক্ষে নৃত্য পরিবেশন করেন, যা আগে শুধুমাত্র নিম্নবর্গীয় স্ত্রীলোক বা সাদিররাই করতেন। তাই আধুনিক যুগে ভারতীয় নৃত্যকলার ইতিহাসে রুক্মিণী দেবী নাম শ্রদ্ধার সঙ্গে স্মরণীয়। ভারতীয় নৃত্যের পুনর্নবীকরণে বা রিভাইভালিস্ট মুভমেন্ট, যাদের অবদান ভারতীয় নৃত্যশিল্পকে উন্নত করেছে, বিশেষ করে ভরতনাট্যম নৃত্যধারার এক নবতর রূপের সৃষ্টি করেছে, তাদের মধ্যে রুক্মিণী দেবী অন্যতমা। 1904 খ্রিস্টাব্দের 29শে ফেব্রুয়ারি তামিলনাড়ুতে এক রক্ষণশীল উচ্চ ব্রাহ্মণ পরিবারে জন্মগ্রহণ করেন রুক্মিণী দেবী আরুন্ডেল। খুব ছোটবেলা থেকেই রুক্মিণী দেবীর পারিবারিক জীবনে সাংস্কৃতিক প্রভাব পড়েছিল তার চিন্তনে ও মননে। তিনি সারা জীবন নৃত্য ও অভিনয় শিল্পকলার পুনরুজ্জীবনের প্রতি ব্রতী ছিলেন, আর তাই তিনি বলেছেন, এডুকেশন উইথাউট ফেয়ার, আর্ট উইথাউট ভালগারিটি, বিউটি উইথাউট ক্রুয়েলটি। 1926 খ্রিস্টাব্দে তিনি আন্তর্জাতিক খ্যাতিসম্পন্না রাশিয়ার বিখ্যাত ব্যালেরিনা অ্যানা পাভলোভার সংস্পর্শে এসে ইউরোপীয় নৃত্যের চর্চায় বিশেষভাবে অনুপ্রাণিত হন। অ্যানা পাভলোভার সঙ্গে তিনি নৃত্যশিল্পী রূপে বিভিন্ন দেশ পরিভ্রমণ করে সুখ্যাতি লাভ করেন। পরে তিনি নৃত্য অভিনয় কলা নিয়ে প্রভূত গবেষণা করেন। 1936 খ্রিস্টাব্দে তার জীবনের অমর সৃষ্টি কলাক্ষেত্র নামক প্রতিষ্ঠানটি আন্তর্জাতিক শিল্পচর্চা কেন্দ্র হিসেবে মাদ্রাজের আদিয়ারে প্রতিষ্ঠিত হয়। তার কলাক্ষেত্র সারা পৃথিবীর শিল্পরসিকদের কাছে এখন সুপরিচিত। ভরতনাট্যম নাচের পুনরুজ্জীবনে রুক্মিণী দেবী আরুঞ্জেল এক আদর্শ ভরতনাট্যম চর্চা কেন্দ্র হিসেবে প্রসিদ্ধি লাভ করে। মীনাক্ষী সুন্দরম পিল্লাই এর মতো প্রসিদ্ধ নৃত্যগুরুর কাছ থেকে তিনি ভরতনাট্যম নৃত্য শিক্ষা লাভ করেন। পরে গৌরী আমালের কাছে নৃত্যের অভিনয় কলার দিকটা বিশেষভাবে অধ্যয়ন করেন। তিনি সবসময়ই চাইতেন মানুষ আরও বেশি করে নৃত্যশিল্পের প্রতি আকৃষ্ট হোক। তখনকার ঘৃণ্য দেবদাসী প্রথাকে তিনি অন্যভাবে পরবর্তীতে তুলে ধরেছেন, দাসিয়াট্যমকে তুলে এনেছেন সামাজিক পদমর্যাদায়। রুক্মিণী দেবী আরুণ্ডেল একজন ব্রহ্মবাদী ব্যক্তিত্ব এবং নৃত্যশিল্পী ছিলেন। 1920-এর দশকে ভরতনাট্যম নিম্নমানের এবং অশ্লীলতার দোষে দূষিত হলে রুক্মিণী দেবী এর পুনঃপ্রাণদানে উৎসাহী হন। ভরতনাট্যমের সৌন্দর্য এবং এর আধ্যাত্মিক গুরুত্ব উপলব্ধি করার কারণে তিনি কেবল তা শিখেই ক্ষান্ত হননি, বরং প্রবল প্রতিবাদের মুখে এই নৃত্যধারাকে মঞ্চে প্রতিষ্ঠা করার জন্য সংগ্রাম করেছেন। পাশ্চাত্য ব্যালে নৃত্যের সাথে তিনি ভরতনাট্যমের সংমিশ্রণ ঘটান। তিনিই প্রথম ভারতনাট্যম নামে এর নামকরণ করেন। তিনি কেবলমাত্র একজন কুশলী শিল্পী হওয়ার প্রয়াসেই আবদ্ধ থাকেননি। তৎকালীন সমাজের রক্ষণশীলতা ও বিধিনিষেধ তুচ্ছ করে নৃত্যকলাকে সম্মানের আসনে প্রতিষ্ঠিত করার জন্য আত্মনিয়োগ করেছেন। তাই রুক্মিণী দেবী আরুণ্ডেলের নাম ভারতের নৃত্যকলার গবেষণা ও প্রসারের ইতিহাসে সর্বকালে বিশেষ শ্রদ্ধার সাথে স্মরণীয়। অধিকাংশ তথ্যসূত্র ডক্টর শঙ্করলাল মুখোপাধ্যায়, ভারতীয় নৃত্যধারার সমীক্ষা থেকে। ধন্যবাদ সবাইকে, নমস্কার।
Now, I would like to request Ms. Anuswa Rai Basunia to present her speech on emergence of Indian classical music on the hill stage of Ganges Valley civilization. Emergence of Indian classical music on the hill stage of Ganges Valley civilization.
Namaskar. Marching ahead is life. Every entity of the universe is marching ahead from imperfection to perfection, from microcosm to macrocosm. As an entity, human civilization is also marching forward since the time immemorial. Man of primitive society got their root of first social life at the feet of hills where river grew due to heavy snow and waterfalls from the peak of hills. Primitive people selected their early livelihood at the feet of hills and near river due to their safe survival. They needed water to survive and hill caves for their safety at night from the attacks of wild animals. Thus the early people gathered at the feet of hills and nearby the natural sources of water, and they formed a society of the collective life there where they learned how to live together. The ancient civilization of Mesopotamia, Indus Valley, Nile Valley, Egypt, etc. were born first on the hill stage of rivers. Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar has stated in his special speech, River and Civilization of Bengal, that in case of the Ganges Valley civilization, hill stage of the Ganga starts on Garhwal and Kumaon ranges of Uttar Pradesh, now in Uttarakhand. He has given emphasis on these two places of Garhwal and Kumaon valleys and identified them as the birth and working place of Nataraj Sadashiva. He has advocated a theory of evolution of music, that the journey of Indian classical music was rooted on the Garhwal and Kumaon valleys of the river Ganga, where music was invented by Lord Nataraj Sadashiva about 7,000 years ago. It was that very period when the early civilization of hill face of Ganga was getting its maturity in all spheres of life. Any historical event needs three basic factors: time, place and person. As an historian, Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar very clearly stated about these three historical factors that Nataraj Sadashiva came on his earth on Garhwal and Kumaon Ganges Valley 7,000 years ago. When he played his historical role for the all-round development of entire humanity, he clearly differentiated between the ends and objectives of man and animal there. He was the pioneer of aesthetics and taught the early people that aesthetics is part and parcel of human life. It would help them to attain the goal of a divine life. He told them the music what he had invented is the best medium to cultivate the eternal feelings of aesthetics with support and lead them for having their ultimate desideratum of human life. Therefore, music was the historical revolutionary invention of Lord Shiva in the hill phase of Ganges Valley civilization on the Garhwal and Kumaon ranges. He wanted to promote human life to the path of bliss and righteousness, enjoying a meaningful lifestyle through pleasure and happiness. He offered music as the most valuable treasure of entire human society and human life. Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar has pointed out another epoch-making event of Indian history, that it was that historical special period of India when the Aryans came in India with their Vedic civilization from Middle Asia, and they faced a serious cultural clash against the long-cherished traditional indigenous civilization of India. During this critical juncture of Indian history, Nataraj Sadashiva took the role and initiative for a happy blending between Vedic and non-Vedic cultural class, which ultimately produced a higher, sophisticated and bright culture and heritage for India. One of the most remarkable results of this happy blending was the emergence of Samaveda. The Vedic races had completed the composition of the Rig Veda with rhythms and poetry before their entrance to India. They were familiar with 7 chandas rhythms like Gayatri, Vushnik, Tristup, Anustup, Jagati, Brihati and Pangti, and poetry only, but they had no knowledge about music. That was the very period of their journey on the way to India when they came to learn about the knowledge of music, a new school of knowledge for them. They highly appreciated this new school of knowledge of India and learned it to promote the essence of Vedic slokas by converting them into music. It was their great achievement that they had selected those Vedic slokas which were worth for turning in music. Hence, a great collection from the Vedas emerged as Vedic songs, and ultimately this collection was congratulated and honored as the 4th Veda, the Samaveda. Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar has mentioned that the hill stage of the Ganges Valley civilization in India started from the Garhwal and Kumaon ranges of Uttar Pradesh, now Uttarakhand. The rest of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar are in plain stage, and the delta stage starts from Malda in West Bengal. Delta is the stage where the rivers start to march in the sea by the shortest route. In the delta stage, tributaries play the dominant role and there are hardly any branch river. In the plain stage also, tributaries have the dominant role in the growth and manifestation of civilization, but branches also have some importance. Garhwal and Kumaon are the 2 main ranges in the hill stage of Ganges Valley civilization. Alkananda and Mandakini are the 2 tributaries of Ganga originated from these 2 ranges respectively. 2 civilizations emerged from these 2 tributaries on the hill stage of Ganga. These are termed as Alkananda civilization and Mandakini civilization. According to Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar, a civilization has 2 forms, simple and blended. A simple form of civilization grows on the bank of a tributary at its hill stage, where 2 simple civilizations of 2 tributaries merge together. There they form a blended civilization. Such many simple and blended civilizations have been merged with the Ganges Valley civilization. Alkananda and Mandakini are 2 simple civilizations, both merged together at Haridwar. So the first blended civilization of Ganga in its hill stage took place at Haridwar. This was that very historical spot of India, classical music, where Lord Nataraj Sadashiva invented and emerged as the pioneer of Indian classical music. It was that very place where his great disciple Maharishi Bharat was trained up and taught music by Nataraj to popularize, teach the newly invented knowledge of music throughout the society, irrespective of class, creeds and communities. The famous work of Maharishi Bharat is the Natya Shastram. Due to the great influence of Lord Nataraj Sadashiva, Northern India has become the hub of Indian classical music, and therefore traditionally many gharanas of Indian classical music emerged throughout the region of hill stage of Ganges Valley civilization. Namaskar.